I never thought I'd be writing this, but recent events have pushed me to share my story. It's about my marriage trust and how things can spiral when a past refuses to stay in the past. My wife and I have known each other for 12 years now. When we first met, both of us were in different marriages with unusual arrangements. We both worked jobs that kept us away from home for extended periods. I was in private security overseas, while she worked as an emergency room nurse with rotating schedules across different hospitals. The first 5 years of our relationship were complicated. We weren't exclusive, didn't live together, and spent 2 years living 1,200 miles apart. Despite the distance, we made it work with regular visits. But there's more to this story that I didn't know at first. 3 months before meeting me, while her husband was home during a break from his contract work, my wife met someone, a local detective. What started as a casual relationship quickly turned problematic. Her marriage began falling apart, and despite her husband warning her about the situation, she continued seeing the detective. I had no idea about the extent of their relationship at the time. I noticed she was becoming increasingly unpredictable, but I couldn't piece it together until her husband filled me in on the details. After learning this, I did things with her. A month later, she reached out to me. She said she had realized how destructive that relationship had been, claimed she had cut all contact with the detective, and wanted to try again with me. I checked with her husband to verify this, and we started seeing each other again, though it was very casual at first. Over the next 8 years, we grew closer and eventually got married. But there were signs I chose to ignore. About 4 years ago, she mentioned that the detective had contacted her through social media about some photos she posted. She said they had a good conversation where they discussed why their relationship ended and both got closure. When I questioned how he could contact her if she had blocked him, she said she had only blocked his phone number but forgot about social media. I let it slide, but that wasn't the end of it. 2 years later, I learned from one of her friends that during a medical emergency, it wasn't the friend who took her to the hospital as she had told me, it was the detective. When confronted, she brushed it off, saying she didn't think it was important to specify who exactly helped her. This remained a sensitive topic between us, especially since we had agreed to be exclusive once I stopped traveling. We moved back to our hometown, the same place where the detective worked, about 2 years ago. A few months before our wedding, she casually mentioned that I shouldn't worry about the detective anymore since he had retired and moved to Florida. I asked how she knew this, and she claimed she read an article about his retirement as he had been promoted to lieutenant and was the first K-9 unit officer in the department. Something about this didn't sit right with me, so I asked directly if she had been in contact with him. She denied it completely. Last week, everything unraveled. Last week, I was reading an article about police dogs, and there was a story about the detective attending his K-9 partner's retirement ceremony. This ceremony happened just 6 months ago, which meant he was still in town until recently. My background in security work has taught me how to dig deep, and I did exactly that. I found records showing he retired 9 months ago and only moved to Florida after his dog's retirement ceremony. There wasn't any public article about his move to Florida, and there wouldn't be since it was a personal decision after retirement. When I confronted my wife with this information, her story changed. Now she said he had reached out to her with a new phone number, which is why his messages weren't blocked. This discovery hit hard, especially given our history. The whole situation made me start questioning everything. Why did she talk to him when he reached out on social media if she was trying to avoid contact? Why hide the fact that he drove her to the hospital? And most concerning, why tell him about moving back to town? There's more context to our complicated relationship that I should explain. My wife's ex-husband, let's call him Marcus, and I are still good friends. He's still working overseas, but we've maintained a strong connection. My own life took a turn when I had to stop traveling due to an injury. As soon as I was home full-time and not earning, my first wife tried to divorce me and take everything, including our kids. After a lengthy legal battle, I ended up with custody of the children, but the legal fees ate up most of our savings. Since my wife had always been the one staying local due to her nursing job, we started spending more time together, handling daily life stuff. Marcus actually appreciated having someone he trusted around his family, even though I wasn't at my best physically. He was especially glad to have someone keeping an eye out, given the previous issues with the detective. Things evolved naturally from there. My wife and I moved in together, Marcus took a permanent overseas position, and I became a father figure to their kids, 2 boys and a girl. They were 14, 10, and 8 when I first met them. Now they're 22, 18, and 16, and they call me Dad. Marcus has given me power of attorney for the kids, showing the trust he has in me. I know some people might judge our unconventional family setup, but life in high-risk security work leads to unusual compromises. We all made the best decisions we could with what we knew at the time. But now, facing these new revelations about my wife's ongoing contact with a detective, I've decided to ask for a divorce. When I made this decision, I spent days thinking it through. It wasn't just about the lies regarding the detective's move to Florida. It was about the pattern of deception. Last week, I finally had the conversation with my wife. It went as badly as expected, but some truth finally came out. While she insisted nothing physical happened with the detective, we got to the real reason behind her staying in contact with him. After a night's sleep and time to process everything, the pattern became crystal clear. All her relationships have come through our professional community. She's drawn to men in high-risk jobs and the lifestyle that comes with it. She married Marcus because he was exciting and dangerous, but mostly absent. It gave her the perfect setup: money, kids, an exciting husband, and almost complete independence since he was only home 3 or 4 weeks a year. This arrangement let her live freely, and Marcus did the same on his end. Things only went wrong when Marcus spent an extended time at home. She complained about how unfair it was when one of us comes back from working away and tries to change how things run at home. Looking back, the same thing happened with my first marriage. It ended when I came home and tried to live like a regular husband instead of an occasional visitor. My wife enjoyed our normal life together, but she missed the excitement of her old lifestyle. That's why she reached back out to the detective. Their past relationship had intense elements that neither Marcus nor I were comfortable with. We both can handle some rough play, but anything too extreme reminds us too much of work, things we'd rather keep far from our homes. The detective, according to her, was willing to go further than us in that department. She figured in our current situation she could maintain both relationships, me providing stability at home while keeping the detective in check, and him providing the extreme experiences she craved. The only catch was they'd have to hide it. Maybe the secrecy made it more exciting for her. But I caught on before anything physical happened. I'm dealing with my own struggles too. The injury that brought me home still causes pain. I've tried different treatments. Medical marijuana made things worse, making me paranoid. Local anesthetics don't work well for me, and I won't touch opiates because I've seen what they can do. I'm managed with ibuprofen, lidocaine patches, biofreeze, weekly massages, and sometimes alcohol to help me sleep. This whole situation has left me exhausted but clear-headed. My wife wants the excitement of her old life while keeping the stability of our current one. She wants her cake and to eat it too. But I can't be part of that anymore. The trust is broken, and no matter how unconventional our past arrangements were, honesty was always the foundation. The divorce will be complicated, especially with the kids involved, but it's necessary. Sometimes the hardest decisions are the clearest ones. I'm not angry anymore, just tired and ready to move forward. The kids are old enough to understand, and Marcus supports my decision. It's time to write a new chapter, one where trust isn't just a word but a reality. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button to help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with friends or family who might enjoy it too. Your support means a lot. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or story ideas, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.